Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, today, Tuesday, July 15th, 2025, here in the Southern District of New York Courthouse. We're still on all things Diddy, but I have to say, things are getting ever more interesting on the Jeffrey Epstein / Ghislaine Maxwell front. Yesterday, we reported that Ghislaine Maxwell had made this offer to testify to Congress. Now, later in the day, as we covered the crypto bill, the Genius Act in the House Rules Committee, the Epstein issue came up, and it's become an extremely, the politics of it, I'm sure, are very interesting to some. I'm more interesting, we've been working, Inner City Press has been covering, obviously, the Epstein case here in SDNY, but we covered Ghislaine Maxwell, his consigliere, his Christina Karam, that's a Diddy reference. We covered her all the way back inside the UN. In fact, asked her questions, and soon we're banned from the UN and can't go in anymore. Well, what I can say is the tentacles of Jeffrey Epstein reach to a then UN Undersecretary General known as Rod Larsen. Rod Larsen, a Norwegian diplomat, the husband of Norway's ambassador to the UN, Mana Yule. He took a personal loan from Jeffrey Epstein. We published it. We published the document. There was a lot of backpedaling. There were some people, there was a Larry Summers connection. There was some very fast sweeping under the carpet. But the reality is Rod Larsen was a UN official covering Lebanon. Similarly, Antonio Guterres, the current Secretary General of the United Nations, who has Inner City Press banned after its questioning, had one of only 5 seats on the board of Ghislaine Maxwell's foundation, the Terramar Foundation, in the case of a man named Amar Dosal. And we've asked those questions. We asked them then, was thrown out, and now we are asking them in writing, and there's no answer at all. Others are answering, but the UN is not answering. And you've got to ask yourself, why? Now we're heading in the Roman storms. I mentioned the Genius Act, and that's a crypto thing. There's a lot of crypto news. The trial is beginning today, I would believe, with opening statements. U.S. versus Roman storm of tornado cash. Yesterday, I'd hoped to really get as nitty-gritty on jury selection as we did in the Diddy case, leading to the exposure of UN-affiliated alternate juror George. But this jury selection is entirely out of the public eye. It is what it is. That's why we're going to begin that stream today, probably in the early afternoon, with opening statements. And I believe 2 witnesses. I think we put in yesterday's thread the name of the witnesses. So we've devoted this morning to covering the AAUP, the professor's case against Rubio et al. There was a lot of focus on the arrest of Mohsen Madawi in Vermont. They had an HSI agent who's now, he was the ASAC agent in charge. Now he was in the UK. He was testifying from the UK by video, and he was saying that they routinely wear masks. You can find the whole thread. That's sort of the fight, is whether it's normal what's taking place. At the end, I have to say, on cross, he acknowledged that the memo they got about Madawi, he had not seen a memo like that before. So this is what's happening before Judge Young. In other crypto news, Kwon had a filing due today, but it's going to be pushed back to July 29th on consent of the government, interestingly enough. Now, Roman Storm actually did a podcast in which he said, well, the Trump administration seems to have forgotten me. The developers aren't supposed to be getting prosecuted. And it is interesting, but more on that. Truglia, who was a true hacker, SIM swapper, or at least he lent his account to somebody. Anyway, he was sentenced to 12 years for not paying his restitution. It was said that he was going to be in danger in the MDC, so he'd only be there one night. Well, his lawyers wrote in and said he's still there. So they're appealing, and they've asked for bond. There's filings due until the 29th. So if he's going to be there until the 29th, I guess he's going to be in solitary. It's really something. I have a lot more to say. We may have something, believe it or not, on, at least for us, dormant case of, I'm going to whisper it because it's Lively Baldoni. There could be a proceeding today. I'm looking into it. And if there is, we'll be all over it, hopefully. But back to the United Nations, or actually back to freedom of the press before going in, since the UN has no respect for the First Amendment or freedom of the press. Inner City Press and the Free UN Coalition for Access, also known as FUNCA, we have signed on to an appeal that Tunisia must release Sonia Damani under Decree Law 54. Basically, she's just a critic of the government, but they put her in jail, and they've in absentia sentenced her sister for trying to back her up. It's an outrage. It's the kind of thing that we've asked Stefan Dujarric, Melissa Fleming, a guy called Ian Phillips, I believe. Anyway, we've asked all the UN Free Press people, not a word at all. The UN is on the wrong side, particularly on l'affaire Jeffrey Epstein. We're going in. To be continued.